Welcome back, everybody. This is episode 19 of my multi-cloud network architecture series. And in this episode, we're talking all about advanced cloud security architectures. This week, I've invited my esteemed colleague, Luke Bockelmann, to discuss how customers are leveraging security in the cloud, the challenges they're facing, and the solutions that Aviatrix is bringing to the market that will level up your cloud network to be enterprise ready. Today, we're going to talk about multi-domain firewall networks and segmentation. So let's get into it. Luke, thank you so much for being here with me today. I'm so excited to see what you got to show us.
Thanks, Dana. I'm really excited to be here too. There's a lot of exciting things happening. And I wanted to talk to you guys about two interesting use cases here using Aviatrix multi-cloud network architecture. First one is segmentation. And then the second one we're going to talk about is dual transit. So I wanted to first talk about segmentation. And speaking to my customers, there's really been a big push to have the flexibility of segmenting across not only a single region, single cloud, but across multi-cloud, right? Yeah. So each sort of cloud service provider offers their sort of unique take and a limited number of services with regards to segmentation. And really, Aviatrix does a great job of being able to present a repeatable architecture across multiple clouds that gives you the ability to segment across those clouds and define security domains across these clouds, regardless of what cloud you're on. So the second really big use case was not only to do the segmentation, but then have the flexibility of deciding which of these domains needs to be inspected or not. So not only are you defining the routing policies between them, but also from those routing policies, where they point to, what next hops they point to, and having the ability to do full layer 5 through 7 inspection to a set of transit FireNets, which are connected to a set of either Palo Altos, Fortinets, or checkpoint firewalls. In my specific case, I am using Palo Alto firewalls.
Okay, great. And so we can throw in any firewall, or do we have specific firewalls that we can use?
Yeah, so we can insert any firewall. Right now we have sort of a canned deployment for checkpoint, Fortinet, and Palo Alto. But we also really can insert any third-party firewall, any F5, as you've probably seen in previous videos, any third-party appliance, essentially virtual appliance that really has three interfaces: a management interface, a LAN interface, and an egress interface. And as long as that we have those, you'll feel free to insert as many firewalls or any inspection points as you want, or one if it does the job you need.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I like that we have this automation built into the controller to control and handle the life cycle of these firewalls, the spin up, the spin down, the scale out of them, so that you can push 70 plus gigabits per second through these firewall domains. But also, I think there's some power in our newest version of this controller 6.0 where we can now separate the functionality of these FireNets. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So by being able to extend these FireNets, we can really push the control to the network operator and give them the ability to control also third-party connectivity. So if you notice in the drawing here to the top right, we have DMZ connectivity. These are any and all customers that represent third-party connectivity that you want to assign a specific security domain because you're a little concerned about DMZ access, and not only who's accessing bad actors potentially, but the ability to segment that and be able to have the peace of mind that it's going through, a next-gen firewall before it even touches any of your production workloads or development workloads or even disaster recovery workloads.
Got it.
So we do a great job of doing not only connectivity and the segmentation, but a great job with doing the natting necessary to. You don't really have to do or worry about what the source addresses are. You can map them to the addresses you want them to be, and it's peace of mind that that's all taken care of.
So Luke, can you talk to me about what you built out here in this lab? It looks pretty impressive.
Thank you. Yeah, awesome. What I built out here is really a set of security domains that I've attached to both VPCs, VNets, as well as on-prem. Right. And what a security domain, I'll go into the UI and what that looks like, but basically it's how we're defining an attachment, and then what that attachment means, and then correspondingly what it can connect to. So let's go over and check that out. So if you're looking at the Aviatrix controller and you go under the multi-cloud transit workflow, we have a new section called segmentation. And here again, you can plan your multi-cloud segmentation with this context-sensitive help here with the info. But basically, it's just like any other workflow in Aviatrix. It's very simple, very easy to use. You start with step one by enabling the transit gateway for segmentation. Here, you pick the transit gateways that you want to enable the segmentation for. Then in step two, you can create a multi-cloud security domain. So here are the various names that I referenced here. So prod, dev here, prod, dev here, site to cloud here. So here's where you essentially define those names and you can create them. And then here is really where the power occurs, right? Here is where you add and modify the connection policy, because this is really where you have that control point for domain connection policies. So once you've created these domains, then they fill into these different fields. And here's where you have the control to determine, in this case, I have site to cloud, prod, and dev, who connects to who. So here's the name, and here is what it's not connected to, and here is what it's connected to. And you can scroll through each one. And as you move these from not connected to connected, we also do the converse connectivity. So for example, prod, when I go to site to cloud, it's already there in the connected. So we handled both directions to make that super simple, super easy to use.
Right. This is really powerful because from a policy perspective, you can keep everything separated in their own little isolated domains from a segment perspective, but then you can also then attach segments to each other or mix segments together. So if you needed dev to talk to prod or prod to talk to site to cloud, whatever it was, you just play with the policies, move them to the right side, and that connection happens, well, magically, I guess the word is, but really the controller has the logic and intelligence to go and program everything end to end to ensure that connectivity is occurring, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's really great. So as you sort of work through this, we have very simple plan, build, list, and delete. So here, once you've sort of planned out what you want, when you go into the build section, here is where you actually associate the spoke or edge to the various domains that you've created. Right. So here you would select the transit gateway. Here you would select the security domains. And then here you would select what attachments you want to assign to those security domains. So that's sort of how you make the association between all three elements, and they kind of join together. And this is where you associate them. And then here, from a cleanup perspective, if you want to disassociate, very simple, you simply select these same three fields and you can disassociate as well.
Got it. So Luke, confirm one thing for me. Not only can we connect or associate VPCs and VNets and VCNs, if you're in Oracle, to these different domains, we can also associate VPNs or SD-WAN connectivity or site-to-cloud connections to specific domains as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We see those as an attachment, and we don't, we see every one of those that you just described as attachments, and we can then assign a security domain and then the associated transit gateways that are connected, where you have that attachment, where that attachment exists.
I love it. You know why I love this is because you can now keep, for example, certain partners or certain extranet connectivity VPNs to their own specific isolated domains. Or if you want to carry SD-WAN segmentation into your cloud and have that context retained end to end, you can do that as well. This is just unparalleled in the market, and it always blows my mind. So I'm really excited to see in action here soon.
And the most important thing is just, it's a very intuitive plan, build, list, delete, very simple. When you want to then list out, who do I have connected to what? Where are those associated transits? Where are those domains? Yep. So you have, for site to cloud, you have the associated transits, and then you have the attachments associated with them. So very simple list of your domains and where they're associated. And then when you want to look at the perspective from a per attachment, you see the attachments here, right? You see the attachment, you see the attachment type. We actually are able to distinguish a site to cloud type attachment versus a spoke attachment.
Wow.
And then it tells you the corresponding set of gateways and the CIDRs that those attachments are associated with. So it gives you a very clear visibility from just the attachments as well as the domains themselves.
Yep, I think it all comes back down to context for day two operations and troubleshooting. The fact that you have these windows that you can view all this stuff after you build things out is fantastic, because you can go back and figure out how things are built out, why they were built out a certain way. It all comes down to context when troubleshooting. That's what allows you to troubleshoot effectively.
So the next component of this is I really wanted to just show you how quickly and how easily it is to actually add and modify these connection policies. So if you go back to the drawing here, I'm going to hop on the site to cloud domain VM series here that's associated with the site to cloud security domain. And then I'm going to hop on a prod EC2 instance, or maybe even a dev EC2 instance. And I can show you the power of being able to toggle back and forth these connection policies and the power really at play here.
Just to be clear, make sure we're all clear, you have a host on-prem through a site to cloud, simulating an on-prem connection, but that's just a host where you're going to ping from, right, to see what it can hit in the cloud.
Yep, exactly. So this is just an endpoint host that represents a site to cloud connection.
Got it.
And then I'm going to be pinging an endpoint that is in the that is a part or a member of the prod security domain, and then pinging an endpoint that's a member of the dev security domain.
Got it.
So here, the first ping I'm going to do is from site to cloud to prod. So if you look at what that looks like here, if I'm in the security domain site to cloud, I'm on that endpoint that represents the attachment into our transit, and I have it connected to prod, you can see I'm able to ping prod.
Yep.
But if I try to ping an endpoint in the dev security domain, I'm not able to ping.
Got it.
So right now, there's no connectivity. But very simply, if I want to then say, you know what, I need my site to cloud endpoints to talk to development. All you have to simply do is click add here. This then allows that for connectivity, and then you can see the pings resume.
Wow.
So very easy way of attaching, disattaching. If I said, you know what, I didn't want to do that, I can simply delete that connection policy, and then the ping stop.
Oh, it's instantaneous. That's super impressive.
Yeah, and the other thing to remember in the power of the multi-cloud network architecture is the ability to stamp out these security domains and even the firewalls and the spokes associated with those. So here I have obviously AWS and Azure. I also have this deployed in GCP, and you can do this in OCI as well. So it's very easy to take the same architecture and the same security domains and easily carry them over to other clouds, as well as the FireNets and firewalls associated with that. And what I wanted to show you is the sort of second use case, in addition to the segmentation, is the ability to do the spoke inspection policies. So just like these endpoints, these sort of domains that are listed here, you can select, as you've seen in previous videos, with Dana, is the ability to select the FireNet gateway names and then select what spokes need to be inspected, right? And as you sort of scrolled through these, it's very easy then to just add and delete the set of spokes that need to be inspected as you build out this multi-cloud network architecture.
Great. Yeah, I noticed that you had inserted firewalls into the Aviatrix transit domains. And so tell me about this next use case about inspection and the different roles that these different firewall domains can have in the network.
Yeah, let me show you about that. So this use case came from a set of customers that really have the security business or groups within them were very segmented in the sense that they had a team that was focused just on egress traffic going out to the internet, traffic coming back to the internet, and they had a separate team that was just focused on that. And the internal security team that really was just focused on the internal RFC 19 addresses and the communication between those endpoints within the various lines of business. So in this specific use case, and this is what we call dual transit, we have the ability to have a separate transit gateways and firewalls that are designated just for RFC 1918 addresses, and a set of egress transit VPC gateways and firewalls specifically just for egress internet traffic. And what we allow then is for the spokes to have multiple connections, right? You can have high bandwidth IPsec connectivity from, say, Spoke 10 to Transit VPC, as well as Spoke 10's connectivity to the egress Transit VPC, where the egress Transit VPC is advertising the default route, right? Because that's how it gets out to the internet and is attracting all the traffic from the spokes to the internet and also being inspected. And the Transit VPC here handles traffic, say, from the shared services domain or the Spoke 10 or Spoke 11 and any inter-VPC communication, as well as any on-prem if you have it.
Yeah, this is really awesome because you can now separate the roles and functionalities of these different firewall domains. So the firewall domain on the left here can be leveraged for east-west and north-south inspection, and then the firewall domain on the right side can be just used for internet egress and ingress inspection, right?
Yeah, the separation of roles really makes it easy to consume cloud services and move to the cloud and keeping your security teams intact. What I wanted to show you now into the demo is really the power of the routing and the ability and the visibility of these gateway routing tables to kind of give you an idea of, all right, what do the routing tables look like? If we double click on what Spoke 10 routing table looks like, or Spoke 11's routing table, how are we doing the magic of attracting, egress traffic here and all RFC 1918 traffic here? And it happens here. If you would look, for example, at the Spoke 10 routing table, you go here just to the gateway routing table and you can see, all right, for my default route, my next hop gateway is egress transit FireNet, right? So this is saying for all traffic that goes to the internet, hit the egress transit FireNet gateways. Yeah. And everything else, RFC 1918 addresses, to communicate, the next hop is the transit FireNet. So you can see all this associated routes with RFC 1918 are going to hit the transit FireNet. So that's how we have the separation.
Got it. And what if we didn't want all the subnets within a particular VPC to be inspected? Is there a way to get around that?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you have certain exception subnets, so say, for example, you want to say, you know what, here are a set of subnets that I don't want inspected. Say, for example, you have some shared services that that need to have an any-to-any connectivity, but you don't want to have that inspected by the firewall. You can then add that to an exclusion list, which we allow to avoid that, right?
Got it.
Yeah, so let me walk you through the workflow here to build these different transit gateways. So the workflow, as you've probably seen over the time, is that they're very menu driven. So you simply launch an Aviatrix transit gateway here, and after you're done, you can also create the HA gateway associated with that. But after you build those transit gateways, in the Transit FireNet workflow, you simply say, all right, enable Transit FireNet for Aviatrix Transit Gateway, and that represents this type of gateway that is attaching RFC 1918 addresses and doing firewall inspection for it. And if you want to enable the Transit FireNet on Aviatrix Egress Transit Gateway, that is what's characterized by this set of transit gateways. So very easily, you just pick 1A for the one on the left, 1B for the one on the right, and you're done.
Awesome. Yeah, super simple UI. What I love about our UI is that it provides, number one, a workflow, but it's a guided workflow with guardrails. So it's really hard to make a mistake. It's really pushing you through the proper implementation order.
Exactly. And you have the same FireNet policy control. So if you're talking about transit FireNet, as we showed in the previous use case with segmentation and inspection, you have the same workflow and exact same way of managing the spoke policies and what has to be inspected, both for RFC 1918 addresses as well as for egress traffic going out of the internet.
Yeah, very consistent experience in the UI. What I'll say though is that not everybody working in the cloud leverages UIs or likes to use UIs. It depends on your experience. Maybe you're a UI guy or gal. Maybe you're an automation guy or gal and you like DevOps. So everything we're doing in the UI today can be deployed and automated through Terraform. We're an official Terraform provider, so we always come out with the latest Terraform modules for every single thing you're trying to do across your multi-cloud network architecture using the Aviatrix controller. So it's very easy to leverage this platform in many different ways.
Exactly.
This is some really impressive stuff, Luke. It's incredible what Aviatrix can accomplish in the cloud for our customers. And I'm talking to customers day in, day out, customers that are mature in the cloud, customers that are new to the cloud, and I'm sure you are as well. And they're all struggling with advanced security architectures in the cloud. It isn't as simple as it was on-prem. You don't have all the control that you had on-prem. In the cloud, you're missing a lot of those knobs, a lot of that flexibility to insert these services gracefully and to build out these nice architectures. You need something like Aviatrix that has the intelligence to build out a multi-cloud network architecture and insert these services and add all this enterprise level functionality like segmentation and the linking between segments and the policy-based architecture and the insertion of these firewalls in different roles, like some for east-west and some for egress. You can't do this without Aviatrix.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, giving your customers this control, the repeatability, the ability to do some of the architectures that you did on-prem, but do it right and build it right in the cloud is really key. And that's true for both this dual transit use case as well as the segmentation use case that we discussed earlier. The ability to have segments, to be able to isolate traffic and to be able to control that, not just in one cloud, but in any cloud. And that is a very powerful message.
Thank you, Luke. I really appreciate you being here with me today. This was just incredible. I love this information. I love having you guys on my YouTube channel. I look forward to having you again.
Thank you very much. I had a great time.
All right, I can't tell you guys how much I enjoy and love having my colleagues on this YouTube channel. We're all in the field seeing different things from different customers, different challenges and requirements, and these customers are in every single vertical, so the designs are all different. But we're solving all of their challenges so perfectly with the Aviatrix multi-cloud networking platform. So what did Aviatrix do for us in this scenario? Well, quite simply, it provided a policy-based multi-cloud segmentation architecture and segment mapping. What I mean by segment mapping is that you can build these different segments in a single cloud or carry that across multiple clouds. But then you can map different segments together within the same cloud or again across clouds. That's powerful. You can't do that with any native CSP. You really can't do that with any solution on the market in any simple way. Aviatrix made it easy to insert and spin up and control the lifecycle of next generation firewalls and leverage a policy-based inspection model to insert those services. Now remember, it's not just NGFWs that we can insert any layer 3 service. Aviatrix provided flexibility in how an organization can leverage the next generation firewalls they deployed. They could have a pod of firewalls designed for east-west and north-south inspection, and another pod for internet egress or ingress. And you can do this over multiple regions and across different clouds. And as always, Aviatrix always provides the end-to-end routing for you. It configures everything for you from a routing perspective. VPC route tables, gateway route tables, transit gateway route tables, firewall route tables, everything you need to get that packet from end to end. This was a fantastic session. I want to thank you all for being here with me today. I can't wait till the next one. We'll see you later.